Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Welcome to the
brand new 2Tokens podcast. Today's podcasts are part of the energy tokenization.
Welcome at the next 2Tokens podcast.
2Tokens podcast.
Podcast by 2Tokens.
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 2Tokens. 2Tokens.
2Tokens. 2Tokens.
2Tokens.
Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is 2Tokens, and today
To celebrate our 100th episode of the 2Tokens podcast, we wanted to do something special. We sat down with some of the brightest minds from our 2Tokens community, industry experts who live and breathe blockchain and tokenization. They shared their insights, predictions and big ideas on where this technology is headed and how it's shaping the future. And now, please enjoy our 100th episode.
How are businesses going to use token technology to improve their operations? And maybe you have an example.
I think businesses will use it in a variety of different ways. In the financial services sector, I think you're going to see digitization of or tokenization of actual funds. So we're seeing this already in the mutual fund industry where they're tokenizing an existing fund. BlackRock have done it, Amundi have done it, Aberdeen have done it, Fidelity have done it, StateStreet about to do it, because it gives the ability to trade 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It'll give the ability to actually receive your coupons, your dividends, your interest. Instead of twice a year, you'll get it once a month, maybe even get it weekly. So that's one example I'd see that it'll be used.
I'm not going to go into examples. We do a lot of things in 2Tokens, but it's all about the making efficiency, make value chains more efficient. I think that's the important part. Making transfer of assets, of data, of value more transparent, faster, cheaper than it is right now. And a lot of businesses are going to use that. And that can be by financing your business, that can be financing the outcome of your business operations, for instance, energy or carbon credits. That can be invoices, everything that can be tokenized and will be tokenized. Whether it's all going to happen next year, I don't know, but a lot of things will be tried.
Yeah, well, I think that businesses are already using blockchain technologies. I'll just kind of speak about that broadly. And as we look into 2025, the sort of Western part of blockchain, a lot of the new apps or L2s out there, they need users. And I think what they're really looking for in 2025 is this user base, right? For all the fun and cool applications they've come up with. So think about using blockchain in the metaverse for gaming, or Louis Vuitton with their handbags and digital twins, those kinds of things.
So yeah, we are in the energy space at StateStreet, and as probably a lot of people know, we suffer from net congestion, right? So there's lots of congestion on our grid. And we're basically looking for flexibility in the grid to unlock flexibility. And I think one of the means to do that is using token tech. So the most narrow example of that would be like enabling consumers to share their energy peer-to-peer, right? And keeping energy at the lowest level of the energy grid that enables us to prevent net congestion.
All right, CGI.
Yes.
So thank you for being here. Keep it short.
Keep short. How they're applying? I think I work in the financial services industry. Everybody's looking interested in I think, predominantly in the DLT technology to see how they can apply it, and especially in the cross-border payments domain.
First of all, I think that tokenization increase the target audience of businesses. So, for example, if you had like just one target audience in one specific region, creating a token, it lets you to having basically decentralized and democratizing the target audience. So you can have like international user that you couldn't have before, just because tokens are available for everyone. Also, maybe another interesting use case are the membership use cases that you can build up with tokens. So if you have like already an existing community, you can solidify the relationship between your business and the community using a token, and then like could increase like the relationship with the community itself. Also, another interesting use case is the governance. So you can use tokens to actually, democratize decision in your business or in your activities. And so I think, yeah, that's the three main pillars that we can see the narratives around businesses using tokens so far.
As our work with IBM, we see a lot of interest from the finance sector, and then especially the central banks are looking into CBDC applications, so very keen to see, and some other industries are following. So it's early days, yeah, for a large adoption of tokenization.
What trends do you think will, seriously, influence the adoption of decentralized technologies in 2025?
As an auditor and a software developer, writing smart contracts for almost 4 or 5 years, I really think that zero knowledge proof is one of the biggest technology that we will have. First of all, because maybe everybody is watching this AI agent narrative and so on, but people don't really understand the other way around, that we need to prove that we are humans, right? Because in all this world with AI contents generated, we don't know if this content will be generated from an human or an AI, right? So I would like to have human proof verifier concept that I think with ZK we are getting there. We had like WorldCoin of Sam Altman that was like, one of the first use case of that, but I think like, human verifier system will be a big narrative. And of course, like we will have like tokenization, we will have like AI agents, but I think arrived at a certain point, we will need like a kind of universal income, general income for all the world population, because there will be not really anymore the need of humans to work. So we need to prove ourselves as human. And one of the main narrative that I'm bullish is this human proof verifier that is not really famous or that you can find on X yet.
To me, the macro trends are more in the sophistication of more small clearing and settlement needed, finer granularity, higher pace. And if I look then in the energy industry, which I'm working in, you see a lot of behind the meter opportunities to bundle energy with appliances, to do more fine grain consumer transactions. And that need to be automated. Yeah, the current systems are not suitable for that high volume of applications.
I think you'll see greater legal clarification, and I think you'll see greater regulatory clarification, and that's desperately needed, and that will increase the adoption. Because I don't think we've had a sort of adoption rate like that. I think the adoption rate is going to go like that, because from a regulatory point of view, it gives so many advantages and brings so much more transparency and gives so much more confidence in financial markets. And that's ultimately what the regulators are there for, to maintain confidence in financial markets.
Perfect. January 6th, Trump in the White House, getting rid of all the restrictions there are right now in the US on crypto and tokenization. That will have a massive influence on projects, on operations, on people exploring what the possibilities are. That's going to happen. That's the first thing that's going to happen. And when the killer app will be there, and then it takes off even more.
Trend which comes to the top of my mind now is stable coins. So how stable coins will transform payments, be it cross-border payments or be it even P2P payments. I think that will have a major impact, I feel, in 2025.
I think in general, I think it's the sort of the maturity and adoption of blockchain technology in other sectors. I think that will be a main driver, and also legislation, right? So I think those trends in other sectors will, for instance, in the finance sector, fintech sector, will make for a more mature legislative framework that we can also use in the energy sector.
So I think that the big shift will come when a lot of the technologies are usable by everyday people. Either they're usable directly, if you think about wallets, that usability doesn't require the high level of technical literacy that it can today. And then, so that's kind of more visible side. The invisible side is also where it's just another technology layer. Just like people don't think about peering agreements between telcos in order to move their bits across the internet, right? That's a fundamental part, as well as submarine cables and everything else for an interconnected world. They don't think about those bits. And I think there's part of blockchain that will just become the infrastructure and plumbing. And then there's a part that's very forward facing to the end user. And that piece has to really become usable for people that aren't as technical or as literate in the technology as most of the users today.
Final question for the winner. Why or why not should companies embrace Web3 tokenization DLT to unlock the value? Why should they do this?
DLT works if it's used in the right way.
I think it's program data. Everybody should look into it.
Well, I was always interested in blockchain, but not so much in cryptocurrencies, because it was like people wanted to make money for the sake of making money. And the token economy is really about tokenizing or digitizing actual value. It's about value creation. And the digitization of value just opens up so many opportunities for people to actually be a part of the economy. So it makes the economy very inclusive. And that's what interests me a lot. So
I think it's an interesting question. I think it's not necessarily a why question, it's why not sort of kind of question. I think maybe it also ties into the first question. So you see the trend is decentralize everything, right? And with the decentralization of systems, you also need a decentral technology to support that. So I think seeing that trend, you cannot steer away from that, right? So as a company, you have to embrace that trend.
So it's a technology like any other, right? And in that sense, if you're not looking at it, then you're missing out on a potential opportunity for your business. Obviously, it depends on the size and kind of the business. If you're a small SME, maybe you do have remittances or payments that you have to make globally, either from buyers or for purchasing or selling. And there may be a use case for cryptocurrencies or stable coins or something there today that will help you save money. On the other side, maybe there is some part of your business where tokens can unlock a lot of value. But you have to, on that side, you have to really look at it. It's a technology. Is it useful in this space at this time, particularly for SMEs? I think large companies, a lot of them are already looking in this space. They have a lot of resources. It's really the small businesses, from the mom and pop pizza places all the way up to, really substantial, very big enterprises, but they're still classified as medium-sized enterprises, either because of their headcount or their revenue, but they still do a lot for the economy.
Making processes more efficient, fractionalizing ownership, having more people informed and taking part of your business operation. That's going to happen.
And what is your personal goal?
It should prove that it can work. That's it. And if we look again at Bitcoin, that's going to be a very big influence in the next year as well.
Depends on the company. I think people are just beginning to understand what does Web3 mean. It's not just about gaming and gaming online, although 40% of the world's population is involved in gaming. I think companies are going to embrace tokenization for the issuance of debt. I think they'll use it for loyalty schemes. I think they're going to use it in order to prove provenance of where the energy has been created and what method has that been created. Because you're seeing more and more companies saying, look, we want to go carbon neutral. Well, how can you prove you've gone carbon neutral? You need to be able to track and trace where the energy's come from.
To automate a lot of operations, and especially combined with AI, I think that's a huge potential that we have on the horizon, to automate all those transactions and also to be assistant to all kinds of human interaction.
And what is your personal goal to get this done? Do you have a personal project of sorts?
So no, I'm continuing my work as a captain for the Energy Working Group at 2Tokens, and we have some demonstrator projects in the pipeline, and working hard to get that materialized and be ready to publish it by the end of next year.
We are we write this new AP 6036 with the Ethereum Foundation and Ethereum core developers. So we're building this ZK machine learning system that basically on top of the optimistic stack of Optimism, you can track AI contents generated. So each AI content has a token code, and you can track on our platform if this token is made, if this content is made from AI or not. And this is not just for text, but for video, for photos. It's like, a no-profit project that we are doing with the EF, and this is mainly like to prove that that video that you find maybe on X of Trump saying something, you want to be sure that it's not AI generated. You go on the platform and you see if it's checked or not. That's like, a bit of content of the context that I mean for human verifier.
Yeah, we too talked about it. I think we have a mission into looking into a use case on tokenization. We want to really use 2025 to build some.
Yeah, so the company that I co-founded with my business partner, The Grid. So one of the things that we really look at in terms of blockchain projects that are out there is if you currently go into any ecosystem page for any blockchain ecosystem, whether it's the Solana ecosystem, which is where we're focused at today, L2s like StarkNet or Eclipse, it's really hard to find out what's actually happening in the ecosystem from a big picture level, which is why we're focused on that ecosystem metadata part, like describing what's going on in the ecosystem. And, personally within blockchain, I think that this kind of infrastructure of knowing who the projects are and what they're doing at a very base level is what's going to enable that first part of what I said earlier, which is that kind of consumer facing part. So if you imagine a dApp store and compare it to the Apple App Store on your phone, how useful is an Apple App Store where it just says perhaps the outdated name of an app and an old logo and nothing else about what it does? It's not useful at all. And it's only until you get that kind of structured information about dApps, for instance, that people are really going to use it, because then they know in human terms, not in AI terms, machine-to-machine terms, like what it does.
In 2025, well, one of my colleagues actually is focusing on sort of revolutionizing the energy system, right, with new energy tariffs and unlocking the flexibility in the market. And I will contribute to his project with the knowledge that I have gained during this course.